Welcome to Criminal Gines, a comedic true crime watch-along podcast where we watch Criminal Minds, all 15 seasons, and discuss the true crime that can be linked, however indirectly, to the episode. We're your hosts, Stacey Johnson and Veronica Shea, and this week we're joined by Kim Lupe in discussing Season 1, Episode 20, Charm and Harm. So, welcome to the podcast, Kim.
Oh, thank you.
Kim.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited.
Mm-hmm. I bet you are. You're welcome.
Yeah, you're my favorite. It's fine. You're here with us for episode 20. We're so close to the end of season 1. And this is Charm and Harm. Did you watch the episode?
I did. I actually watched it twice to make sure
Oh.
I didn't. I'm really prepared for this, you guys. I did my homework. I tried to make sure I understood what was happening. Yeah.
I have a very important question for you. Is this your first Criminal Minds episode that you've ever watched?
Oh, no. I used to watch it pretty religiously.
Okay. Whew, you are literally the first guest that we've had that hasn't been like, this is the first episode I've seen.
Oh, no. I used to watch it like before bed. Just calms me right down. So
Yeah. Accurate statement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like
True crime girly.
That's right.
Jim has watched a lot of Criminal Minds.
Yeah, Stacey's just over here lying. I'm pretty sure Anastasia also watches Criminal Minds. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay.
So.
Don't believe anything I say, Kim.
Yeah.
I already didn't. I don't trust you because I don't know you. So
That's fair.
Fair enough. Our friendship is off to a great
It
start.
feels very comfortable.
Great. I'm glad that I'm the one keeping this together.
Oh, God.
This does not bode well.
It's going downhill. I mean, I had to turn my air conditioning off for this. I'm already annoyed. So.
Yeah. This is so good. This is so good.
I'm going to become the next serial killer you guys talk about. I could.
Amazing.
So romantic.
Please. I'm dying. Okay, so Charm and Harm. It opens on a man eating room service to a gross degree. I was not impressed. I did not like it. Also, the steak was like brown. Like, I cannot.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a woman who's bound and gagged sitting across from him, which I guess is the important part here. It's like so romantic.
Well, then he's also like annoyed that she's not eating. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, there's a little bit of restriction happening here, sir.
Like, my God. Help a lady out. So the team
Slap her across the face with a steak. Do something.
Do something. The team is getting briefed back at Quantico about this guy who's killed 4 women in Florida, and they have DNA evidence. They know who he is, but he has disappeared. So the cops kind of lost track of a serial killer, and Hotch is like, are you serious right now? Great. So he's been missing for 36 hours, and he has a new victim. All of his victims have been abducted, tortured, and drowned in hotel bathtubs. All different forms of torture, and the only constant is the bathtub drownings. They go to his house. He was like a really successful real estate agent in Florida, and his house is like super fancy, and he's got a shit ton of watches, and he has lots of outfits to kind of adapt to whoever or wherever he is. And this includes uniforms for law enforcement, janitorial, and armed forces. We also learn he's been married before, but for only like 3 weeks because he was scary. And they want to try to get this guy before he goes on the run, because this kind of killer will kill in a home base, like we've seen with his 4 in Florida, before he just kind of devolves and goes on a killing spree and he takes his show on the road. This type of spree killer also usually ends with a suicide by cop. So that's something for everyone to look forward to. He kills...
That's one way to
I don't know why I found that so funny.
I can't wait to watch him get killed by suicide by cop. That is my favorite part.
Cops can't wait. Victims can't wait. Let's go, guys. Let's get to the end. He kills a woman in Atlanta, drops the car off at the international airport. They realize he's luring these new victims because he doesn't know them. He knew the first 4, and these new ones he doesn't know. He's luring them with some kind of ruse. The first one is a photographer, and then he's an airline pilot. Then he has glasses and a limp, and he's charming enough and calm enough to sell all of these personas. And the mother of personas was Ted Bundy. So, Amanda with Our Buddy Bundy. Beep, beep.
It's episode 20. All right, so episode 20, we're profiling a guy who's giving us major Ted Bundy vibes. We think is a serial killer, but he doesn't quite fit the bill. He is pretty well-rounded. He's kind of fancy pants, has all his stuff together. He is, in real estate, luxury businesses, things like that. He's very charming. He's very intelligent. He is very well-liked and respected by everybody that knows him. This reminds us of Ted Bundy because people said and thought the exact same thing about him. You get a peek inside this guy's closet, which is full of fancy, beautiful, tailored suits. But among those suits are uniforms for like plumbers, maintenance, repairmen, etc., etc. So it's kind of strange that he has all these fancy suits, but then in between all his fancy suits, he has these very like blue collar, labor intensive uniforms. This takes us to Ted Bundy because he very much was somebody that pretended to be somebody he was not in order to gain the trust and the access to his victims that he had. He would pretend to be injured or pretend like he needed help with something in his car or, whatever.
And then just the most psychotic video any of us have ever been sent. She is so
very serious.
I love her.
She's very serious about it.
She's very wild. I love her.
I'm pretty sure she filmed that one in her office.
I think so. At first I was like, oh, is this her kitchen? And then I was like, I think she's at work.
She's at work. Really?
But yeah, so Bundy had the persona of, he tried to be a police officer to gain entrance into an almost victim's house, and she wouldn't let him in. Her dog wouldn't stop barking. He had the sling to get women close to his car and helping him before he would abduct them. Yeah, so Bundy was big on the ruses and that kind of thing. So fun little Bundy nug. Okay, so they finally track down this guy's ex who has paid a lot of money to become someone else and erase her history because she was afraid that he would come after her. And they meet with his dad, who is 27 kinds of psycho. And he can't believe his son would do anything like this. And he keeps making excuses for all of his past bad behavior. And then they realize that this guy's mom isn't in any photo anywhere in the house, and that she died in a car accident when he was 10.
Drama.
I know. So now he's in the random phase of his killings, and he's changed from his 5-star hotels to motels. He's snatch and grabbing girls as we go. It's really ramped up. And he keeps changing license plates, so they really can't get a hold of him. We also find out that he was in the car with his mom when it crashed, when she died. So back to the dad for more info. We find out the mom was cheating on the dad. The dad was super anti-women because of it and is like, all women are cheaters.
As you do.
As one does. And when she couldn't find a babysitter, she would bring her son to the motels where she would meet her boyfriends. But the dad, ultimately, they were like, hey, how did the mom actually die? Because the coroner's exam said she drowned. And how did her tiny young son, who's shorter than her not drown, and she drowned? What's going on? And the dad was like, so I'm not sure he wasn't involved, but she was a cheating horse, so who cares? Okay.
A minor detail they just left out.
Left out that we do think the son killed his mom. That's fine. So back with our unsub. So he's completely devolved. He's trying to drown her in the motel pool. There are people around. And the manager is like, excuse me, you can't be in the pool with your clothes on. And he gets out of the pool and he was like, my wife fell in. And the manager's helping him trying to do CPR. And the unsub goes to call 911 and just pieces out. The woman lives. And the manager's like, no one said anything about him having a limp. And we're like, okay.
But really,
or wearing glasses. Don't forget.
Or wearing glasses.
He didn't say he had glasses or a limp. So even though he looked exactly like him, I was like, not him, sir.
Yeah, it's totally fine. So with the information about the mom, he's now in Tennessee. So he's gone Florida, Georgia, Tennessee. His mom died in Tennessee. They're like, I know where he's going. Obviously, where it all began. So he's making this new victim drive her car to the specific place where the mom crashed. And he was like, go over here. And she swerves the car, crashes it on purpose, which, ladies, is what you should do if you're ever in this situation. Crash the car. Like, make a scene. Let's go.
Yeah, legit.
Legit. That was it. Elle and Morgan are hot on his trail because they're on the road trying to follow him, and they're there in time to save her. And they bring him in, and that's the end of it. That's our episode.
Ta-da.
So, didn't they? I thought he got shot.
And it was suicide by cop.
Oh, shit.
The one part you built up and you just like left it out.
Kim, this is why we need you.
Let's-
This is why we have guests on our show.
Yeah.
I'm actually only here to make sure that Veronica does her job correctly.
Thank you. Someone has to. Someone
Yeah, because she's
has to.
taking care of me.
Yeah. I take care of Stacy. Kim, you have to take care of me. It's fine. We'll find someone to bring on to take care of you.
Yeah, somebody's got to help me. That's
God. I'm dead. Yeah, so that's our episode.
Right, so the podcast is over. We're done now.
We're done. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
So much for
This has
coming,
been
Kim.
So great. Thank
So
you.
good. I thought it was interesting who they chose to cast for the guy because I'm not sure I would get in his car. You know what I mean? Like he
actually looks like a serial killer. I'm like,
yeah,
that guy drives a van with no windows. You can tell by looking at him. You
yeah,
know?
like literally.
Legit.
No.
Like he wasn't really attractive. No offense to that actor. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, sir, whoever you are. I'm sure somebody finds you attractive. I'm a lesbian. I find most men not attractive, but like he was.
He's a really good character actor. He's in like a lot of stuff and he looks better in most of the other things. So I was like, this is an interesting thing of this guy who's supposed to be able to get modern women to like follow him and let their guard down. I'm like, although maybe we just didn't see the charmy part because we came in during the killer spree, but
they could have let us in a little softer. You know?
Yeah. The chewing. You should never introduce a character while they're chewing.
No. That's repulsive and disgusting. I hate watching people chew. Oh my God.
I'm sorry, what?
Oh my God. There was a round of recordings where Stacy was drinking from straws and I was like, Stacy, I swear to God. I was like, I can't, I'll murder you because I can't.
If there's one thing Veronica loves, it's mouth noises.
Oh my God. I'm the same way. I almost put a straw in my water and then I thought better of it. So I feel like maybe you and I were psychically connected because we're married. That
yeah.
You know, it's like,
yes, for everyone
like that.
For everyone watching, Kim is my wife.
We got married at a Wendy's after meeting each other for 3 hours.
That's right. We're
as a lesbian does. She's not a lesbian, but I've made her one. So
I love Wendy's.
So do I.
You can't be in our marriage, Stacy.
Get out. I'm not really into the poly thing.
Nope, get out.
All right, fair enough. You can.
So funny.
You can be married by yourself.
Thank you so much. This is really a whirlwind for our listeners because Alyssa came on to talk about how she was the first person to start openly accusing me of being bisexual after she met me for the first time.
Tell her what you were wearing the first time you met her, though.
Tim's and
a flannel.
I mean, you do dress a little butch sometimes. Like, I remember when I first met you at one of our comedy shows, you were in like a trucker hat. I'm like, if you were gay. Anyway, this has turned into a discussion about sexuality. Should we just take it that direction?
We can. We're trying to get Veronica a boyfriend. That's why we started the podcast.
That's the whole purpose.
The get-go.
Speaking of boyfriends, Christopher Wilder, man. Whew.
Well,
he's a boyfriend at some point.
Shemar
Moore. I'm just kidding. Unhinged. This is what happens.
Man.
Oh my gosh.
But look at a picture of Christopher Wilder, and he's only 39 years old, and he does not look like the 39-year-olds that we see today. Like, he looks like he's like in his late 50s, early 60s. He's not attractive either.
It's like not cute. That's true. Yeah, this one really some of them I'm like, is this going to be okay to like link to? And this one I was like, oh, this is definitely this guy because he's also like, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's talk about Shemar Moore. So Shemar was on the road with Elle trying to like catch this guy. They were always like one step behind him. So already, boo, I did not like that he was stuck with Elle the whole time because every time we saw him, he was with her, and I hate her.
Gimme more.
Okay, so gimme more. Let's talk about him. Kim, we rate him from 1 to 5 helpings. Understanding he's a 10 always, obviously.
Always.
But we have had some anti-Shemar Moore fans on this podcast, so I'm very interested.
I am excited to see where you fall on the scale.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, he's a 5 all around. I prefer the ladies, but he's a handsome man. He's pretty to look at.
He's very
Apparently he's a complete slob, according to this episode, and he just has his car full of Red Bull cans and takeout food.
Why is she driving his car, though?
Because he had to eat his food, Veronica. You've seen me eat food in your car while you're driving.
But I wasn't driving your car.
Hold on. She let you eat food in her car whilst she was driving?
That's something you don't normally do. Did I force that on you? Is that something you
That
normally do?
means she likes you.
See, bisexual. It happens to all of the ladies.
It just takes a very strong masculine.
The straight girls love me. The straight girls
and
love
some
me.
Wendy's. Get her some Wendy's.
That's what it was. It was the it was a delightful little date we had, our comedy date, after we were abandoned by Sam.
Yeah. Fucking Sam, man. Just ignored us the whole time.
Yeah. The whole time. That's why I gave her the worst.
We had to force her into pictures. Like, oh, she's behind us. Take a picture with her kind of behind us.
Literally.
So like we're hanging out with her.
Yeah. I feel like she was the reason we were even on that show.
Right. And then like she didn't even exist. She's like, also, you two don't know each other. I'm going to abandon you together and you can just get to know each other on a random 3-hour drive together. Like that could have gone south real
don't
fast.
know each other. You two don't like new people. There you go.
This sounds like it's going to go well. So we got married.
We got married.
We got married.
It's fine.
Cute.
It's like not a big deal. Okay. So, Stace, what are you going to give him?
It's funny because you send me these photos and then I pick them out of a lineup that you send me.
I send like 5 or 6.
And I should just pick all 5s all around. But this one, I'm going to rate him, I feel bad, it's the lowest rating I've given. I'm giving him a 2.5.
A 2? Why do you keep doing halves? I have to
in
find
that picture. It's a 2.5. I mean, really?
Okay, wait. Let me change my rating to it. I'll change it to 3. I'll round up so Veronica doesn't have to find an image of a halvesies. I'm going to give him a 3 because while I appreciate the coffee cup and I'm digging that like vibe, he's looking like he's got some business to do. I don't like the smirk on his face in this one. So very.
I don't think he's smirking at all. I think he's very concerned. He's pensive and listening to the profile.
Whatever it is, I don't like it.
I kind of like it because now that you've pointed out the coffee cup, I'm like, how big are his hands?
I just saw it too. I'm like,
oh yeah, because that coffee cup does look real tiny in it.
Like a little.
Is that a 4-ounce cup? What is
Maybe
that?
in real life he actually has tiny hands. That's something he demands on set. It's like
Tiny cup.
You know who else has tiny hands?
Oh God, Stacey.
I wish I had them on because then I'd be like,
I hate you so much. I'm going to give him a 4. He's back in the suit, but it's not button, no tie. I like it. There's not great definition of the outline. That's on me. But yeah, I'm going to give him a 4. My big thing was he was with Elle the whole time. And I was like, I don't want her invading our fantasy. You know, like that's...
Well, and she's just really negative. She just seems like she constantly has this chip in her shoulder. Like she's a temperamental teenager, just annoyed all the time.
Yes, I have said this when I was like, she's a petulant child. Like, why is she acting this way?
Mm-hmm.
With shitty eyebrows. There, I said it.
I mean, maybe that's her acting range. Who knows? We don't know.
It's her eyebrows? Shitty
eyebrows. Her acting range is her eyebrows.
I'm sure she's a lovely human in real life, but like...
Maybe. She doesn't work a lot, so I would actually say...
Where have you seen her?
Just to see what else she's been in.
Right? Sam said she was Drusilla, which the entire time I was like, God, she looks like Drusilla, but I couldn't imagine that they were the same person. And then here, and for a season and like 2 episodes, something happened.
Oh, so she wasn't even on there very long.
No, either she wanted out or they wanted her out.
They probably wanted her out. She wasn't very likable, clearly.
But writers can turn that around. They made her so unlikable. I do feel bad for her. Like, no one should.
But you can make somebody unlikable and you like find a way to make that character like you still like root for the bad guy in a weird way.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
All right. She is best known for her portrayal of Elle Greenway in CBS's Criminal Minds. Oh, and she was Deborah Cicerone Waldrop on HBO. Oh, she was on The Sopranos?
Unmemorable.
Yeah.
I bet you know what, some people put that, and if you scroll down on their IMDb, it's like 1 episode. So, you know, she might not have been like...
Was she on Buffy?
I don't know. No, it does seem like Criminal Minds was like the last big thing that she did.
See, I didn't think she was Drusilla. Sam was like adamant that she was Drusilla.
I don't even know who Drusilla is.
Did you not watch Buffy? I thought you were gay.
Oh, I did. Don't question my gayness.
I could never look at your haircut.
I did watch Buffy. It was just a long time ago, and I don't remember Drusilla. I'm sure if I would have like, oh,
she was Spike's crazy girlfriend that like Angel drove crazy before he turned her into a vampire. I'm in love with David Boreanaz. Oh,
she was absolutely not Drusilla.
No.
Oh, we're going to tell Sam that she was wrong. God, Sam's been wrong so many times already in this podcast. I'm really enjoying it.
Sam's very wrong.
Oh, I'm so excited to tell her.
We'll tell her when we see her on Monday.
Hell yeah. So, and then you gave him a 5. You're sticking with your 5 for Shamarzies?
Yeah, I mean, look at him. He's cute. He's fine. I mean, that's coming from, me. I mean, maybe if I were a straight lady, I'd feel differently and find ways to pay. Like, you guys destroyed him for about 5 minutes. But I'm just like, he's fine. He's a 5.
Yeah, that's fair. He's very good looking.
He's handsome.
It's funny to have the straight guys rate him. They have thoughts too.
Yeah.
And it's pretty funny.
Yeah, people are passionate.
That's why I do it.
They are most passionate about the ratings.
Yes.
That must bring out some insecurities for them.
Hotly contested all around.
I see.
I love it. Okay, well, this episode is Christopher Let's try that, saying it correctly. Christopher Wilder.
Just have a wild stroke.
I did.
Wilder.
I just Mitch McConnell all over his
Wait. Let's all Mitch McConnell.
I feel like bad for him in the sense that it was probably very scary, but also like, what a fucking asshole. You should have bad things start happening to
I know.
you
I fucking hate that guy. I don't want terrible things to happen to anyone except for maybe Donald Trump, but like,
yeah, absolutely.
I did feel bad, but I'm also like, well.
Anyway, let's get geriatrics out of lawmaking. It's fine. If you can't drive, you shouldn't be a senator. You know what I mean? Like,
if you're having visible strokes on television, you probably shouldn't be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't mean like can't drive like you're in a wheelchair. I mean like you're too old to drive, like the DMV has taken away your license. You know, that not like able.
Way to course correct that because somebody could
you.
have found this podcast and just canceled you so fucking hard.
I've said things like stand with men, so I feel like I'm beyond canceling. I've said terrible things on this podcast. Okay. Why do we think that is?
That's new.
Kim's browser preventing recording. I mean, you truly Mitch McConnell. Your whole...
I know, we joked about it all.
And then your computer actually had a stroke.
Your computer actually had a stroke.
The computer was like, you know what? If you're going to be a terrible human, we're just going to fuck this whole thing up for you.
It's like, commit to the bit. Let's go.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh. Real. Okay, so we're talking about Christopher Wilder, the beauty queen killer. He was born in Australia. He was an Australian-American serial killer. And his 6-week cross-country spree was in 1984. We'll start at the beginning. He was born in 1945 in Sydney, Australia. His dad was a U.S. naval officer. His mom was an Australian person. And they didn't give her a job, so I don't know.
As opposed to an Australian dog. She's an Australian person.
Maybe 45.
Dodged a bullet there.
I mean... So he will have claimed to have almost died. Well, no, he did almost die at birth, but he claimed to almost have drowned in a swimming pool at 2 years old. There's no real evidence. He just says that's what happened. When he was 17 in 1963, he raped a 13-year-old girl with 2 other young men there. So already killing the game.
Off to a good start.
He was sentenced to probation, and then he claimed to also have electroshock therapy, or ECT is what it's now called. So that's exciting. In 1968, he married a woman. A woman agreed to marry him, but she left him after 1 week because of his sexual abuse, and she found lingerie and naked photos of other women in his car. So real short-lived, just like in the episode. In 1969, he then used nude photos to extort sex from a student nurse. There's not a whole lot of like information on that, so I don't know. I assume they were her nude photos, but how did he get that? Like, I don't.
No, he's just showing her photos of like random naked men. Like, I'm gonna blackmail you with this, and she's like, okay,
yeah. So
we have to assume they're hers.
A lot of information on that. But she complained to the cops. But ultimately, the charges were dropped because she refused to testify in court. We see that a lot with sex victims. And then he emigrated to the United States and began living in, I think what we can all say is our proudest state. He moved to Boynton Beach, Florida.
Mm.
And he was very successful in real estate. and high-end real estate. He also became interested in photography and converted a room in his house to a darkroom. And then there was a secret darkroom off of the original darkroom where he would develop photos that he took of his sex crimes. So
good for him. Way to really work the system.
Yeah, way to live your dream, sir.
Yeah.
You're gonna do something.
Then that can't be right. 1975 to 1971. I think I wrote that backwards. Between 1971 and 1975. I am doing really well, you guys. It's fine.
He's the Benjamin Buttons of murderers.
How did I do that? How weird. Okay, so from 71 to 75, he would be faced with a lot of different criminal charges, all related to sexual misconduct. He raped a young woman who got into his truck under the pretense of him taking her photos, which would all become part of his MO later on. With all of these charges and stuff, there was absolutely no jail time at all.
Which shows us how well our legal system works.
Yeah.
Also Florida, like, oh, just let it go. It's fine.
Yeah.
Everything's fine.
It's just wild. In 1977, a psychologist declared that he was unsafe, except in a structured environment, which I'm assuming is the structure of prison. And he noted that Wilder had this need to dominate women, and he had a desire to turn them into sex slaves. Multiple times he expressed interest in white slavery and talked about sexual fantasies of that kind. And for people who don't know, white slavery is completely mistermed, basically. I mean, it has roots in European slavery, but today it is used to mean sex trafficking, which is absolutely ridiculous because it gives the idea that only white people are turned into sex slaves, which is absolutely incorrect. But that's what that means, is he had fantasies about sex slavery. In 1982, he went back to Australia to visit the fam, and he was arrested on sexual offenses against two 15-year-olds. His parents posted bail, and he went back to Florida to await trial. Due to court issues, his court date kept getting postponed. Now, 1983. Still no court date from Australia, but he abducted two girls in Boynton Beach, ages 10 and 12, and forced them to perform oral sex on him. And as Stacy does. You said it.
I said as you did, not me.
I don't do that.
I have to go.
It's got dark real fast. It was already dark and it just got darker.
In 1984, here we go. February 22nd.
We can't.
She had another stroke, everyone.
I'm so tired.
We're gonna make it through. We got this.
Here we go. Okay, February 22nd, 1984. Rosaria Teresa Gonzalez was a very pretty 20-year-old. She was working as a spokesmodel for a pharmaceutical company, and she was at the Miami Grand Prix. Wilder was also at the Miami Grand Prix because he was what? Oh, yeah, a race car driver as well?
Yeah.
And he was driving in the Grand Prix in the, I'm going to say things that I don't understand, but I wrote them down, in the IMSA GTU class in a Porsche 911. Yeah, I don't know. Someone can tell us if that's exciting.
I've never been more bored in my life.
Never. I mean,
just
I don't understand.
Yeah, we're making a
NASCAR.
really good impression on you right now.
She was last seen leaving with Wilder, and her car was found abandoned at the DuPont Plaza. Then, on the 5th of March, so 7 days later, Beth Ann Kenyon, who is a Miss Florida finalist and Wilder's ex-girlfriend, she was 23 years old, she went missing. Now, he had even proposed to her, but she said no because of their age difference, but also probably because he was ugly and creepy.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but he was in his 30s at the time. She was 23. And she actually knew Rosario because they were both contestants in the Miss Florida beauty pageant. So she disappeared. And she was last seen with Wilder at a gas station near Miami, and then her car was found at the Miami airport. Neither girl's remains have ever been found, But Beth Ann's parents refused to like accept the idea that their daughter just ran away and contacted the FBI, who was like, we don't really have jurisdiction. And the police were like, okay, let's look at this. And then when they realized that Rosario also knew him, and there was this link to this one person who they were both last seen with, they were like, okay, let's put some pressure on him. They put out an article in the paper that all but names Christopher Wilder, right? It's like race car driver, possible link in model murders or something. It talks about how he's Australian. It talks about the car he drove. It gave his like build. So basically they're like, let's put pressure on him. Now, so that was on the 5th of March. On the 18th, he would abduct Terry Ann Waite Ferguson, a 21-year-old, from Merritt Square Mall in Merritt Island, Florida. She was murdered. Her body was dumped at Canaveral Groves and would be discovered on the 23rd. On the 20th, he had moved on to Linda Grover, who was a 19-year-old FSU student, and he abducted her from the Governor's Square Mall in Tallahassee and transported her to Bainbridge, Georgia. So now he's on the run. And he is picking up girls very quickly. He approached her to take her photo, right, as like a fashion photographer. And she was like, no, thank you. So he assaulted her and bound her hands, wrapped her in a blanket, and threw her in the trunk of his car.
As you do.
I mean, that's one way to respond to rejection, I guess.
Yeah. Just abduct a person. And then he took her to the Glen Oaks Motel, where he tied her to the bed, raped her. He blinded her with a blow dryer and super glue, and then tortured her by putting copper wires to her feet and electrocuting her. She was, however, able to escape to the bathroom, where she like locked herself in and started like pounding on the walls and screaming for help to alert people. So he booked it, but he like took all of her stuff too. So she survived, and I don't know that I would want to. But good for Linda, girl. Good for fighting back. Mm-hmm. That was on the 20th. On the 21st, he would abduct Terry Diane Graham Walden. Terry was a 23-year-old wife, mother, and nursing student in Beaumont, Texas. He approached her again about posing as a model, and she was like, no, thank you. And he actually took it semi-well until he ran into her again 2 days later and said, are you sure? And she was like, yeah, no, I'm really good. And then he abducted her and raped her and stabbed her to death and dumped her in a canal. And she would be found on March 26th. And then he stole her car and went to Oklahoma. So on the 25th of March, he abducted Suzanne Wendy Ducan Logan. I don't know how to say her mid-name. Ducan? Duchan. Suzanne Wendy Logan, who was 21. Perfect. He abducted her from another mall in Oklahoma City, and he took her to Kansas. And then they stayed the night in a motel, and then he took her even farther over to Millard Reservoir in Kansas near Junction City. So he has now traveled with her for 260 miles. And then that's where he stabbed her and dumped her body. But you better believe that night in the motel was not good. All of his victims ultimately had the same thing. They were bound to the bed, raped, tortured, electrocuted. So poor Suzanne. That was on the 25th. On the 29th, he abducted an 18-year-old Cheryl Lynn Bonaventura. She was abducted in Grand Junction, Colorado. So Kansas to Colorado. And they were seen at a diner together. And they told the waiters that they were taking a trip to Vegas. Then the next day, the 30th, they were seen at the Four Corners Monument. And he checked them into a hotel in Page, Arizona. And then they say around the 31st, because it took a long time for her body to be discovered. But around the March 31st, he shot and stabbed her to death near the Kanab River in Utah. Her body was not discovered for another month till like the very beginning of May. April 1st, Michelle Lynn Korfman was a 17-year-old who disappeared from a 17 magazine cover model competition at a mall in Vegas. There's actually a photo of Wilder like stalking her throughout the competition, and he dumped her body in like a Southern California road stop kind of rest stop place. And then it was discovered May 11th, but she wouldn't be identified till like mid-June, and they had to use dental x-rays. which is so wild. Then on the 4th of April, Tina Marie Risico was 16, and Wilder photographed her before abducting her and taking her to El Centro, which isn't that where a prison is? Like, where the I've never even heard of El Centro. I assume it's a prison place.
I have no clue.
Okay, he took her to El Centro where he assaulted her, but he kept her alive because he was like, she might be able to help me abduct people. So Tina Marie, survive however you can, girl. Good for you. So he kept her alive and drove her back across the country through Arizona, Mississippi to Chicago, and then all while on the FBI's 10 most wanted list.
Dang, isn't that wild?
Dude, they're doing a great job keeping an eye on him. They're doing a great job.
Yeah, for real.
Such a good job. 1984 could not be moving slower. Now, on April 10th, he's in Merrillville, Indiana. I'm sure that is not how Indiana people from Indiana would pronounce it. I'm sure it's like Merrillville or something. Merrillville, Indiana. Tina did help him abduct a 16-year-old named Dawnette at the South Lake Mall, and he raped her several times while Tina drove them to New York. Near Penn Yan, Wilder attempted to suffocate Dawnette in the woods, and then he stabbed her a couple times and left her for dead. She was actually able to flag down a trucker on the side of the road who took her to the hospital in Penn Yan. And she was in really bad shape. And there was a surgeon who had to do life-saving surgery on her. And she actually survived and told police that Wilder was heading for Canada. Great. Love a living victim who can help. I mean,
I'd love to do a Where Are They Now for the living victims.
I know. Oh, God, that poor girl. Dawnette. Well, I know the one girl, left the country. Who was it? The first one who was, that got out. They, had her leave because they were afraid he was going to come back for her.
Mm-hmm.
But Wilder, double back to see if she was dead yet and then found that she wasn't there. And he, freaked the fuck out. So he and Tina are now even more on the run, and they're in Victor, New York, where Wilder forced Beth Elaine Spofford Doge, she was 33 years old, into his car and made Tina follow him in Beth's car. And very short drive, he shot Beth and dumped her body in a gravel pit. And he and Tina took Beth's car and went to the Logan Airport in Boston. He put Tina on a plane to LA, and he went north, where he unsuccessfully tried to abduct a woman at gunpoint in Beverly, Massachusetts.
It's because he let Tina go. Tina wasn't there to help. That's what happens.
Yeah.
A woman has to do everything.
Correct.
Yeah.
He fucked up.
Fucking
Get together.
Tina's very, very lucky. So that was, let's see our dates right now. So that was from the 10th to now the 13th. He stopped at a service station in Colebrook, New Hampshire to ask for directions to Canada, and 2 state troopers were like, you look familiar. You look familiar. And they approached him, and he ran to his car to get his gun, and one of the cops grabbed him from the back, and there was a struggle, and the gun went off twice. And the first time it shot through Wilder, and it went through his back and into the cop who was right behind him. And the second time it went into Wilder's chest and killed him. So I don't know if that is suicide by cop or suicide close to cop, but it's in there. So Wilder dies, and the cop was seriously injured, but survived and returned to active duty eventually. So good for the state troopers, I guess. And so that was in April 13th, 1984. Now, if you remember back, for his Australian court date was actually scheduled for later that month for his first rapes. So,
well, shucks, he's going to miss his court date.
He's not going to make it. And
it's going to be a little late.
Should tell them that. He left behind an estate of $7 million, though. And a Florida judge had that split between all the victims' families, which love to see that. Mm-hmm. And this is what do they say when it's not a telegraph? What is it called? It's not a telescope either. When it's something for a future, plot point for the future. You know what I'm talking about? No one knows.
Plot point for the future.
Yeah.
Telepathic? I don't
know. It's a telegraphing. It might be telegraphing.
A plot point for the future. When you're dropping
Yeah, it's like a breadcrumb.
Yeah, I wish I could.
Like a foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing!
Thank you. So a foreshadow, this I thought was so crazy actually, because I didn't realize they connected this much. In this guy's possessions was a book called The Collector by John Fowles. And it was found with all of his stuff. And it's a book about a man who keeps a woman in a cellar against her will until she dies. So it's like a really uplifting book. Yeah. But this is a big plot point. This book specifically is a huge plot point for episode 22 in season 1 and episode 1 in season 2. So coming up, that book will become very important to this podcast.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
And that's our guy.
I mean, he sounds wonderful. Hey, so this Tina Marie that, she wanted PTO and he granted her PTO. And she went to LA for a little while. Like, where's she? Whatever happened to her? Where's she now?
I don't know. Let's go see if we can find that out. Shall we?
Yeah.
I mean, like, we're here. Like, can we find her?
That's true. Yeah, I'm sure she really wants to talk about it.
Right.
Poor girl.
Why didn't you book her on this show? I don't understand. It feels like an obvious yes.
Well, you're from Florida, so I thought it would be best to go to you first.
I want to correct you. I'm not from Florida. I lived there for a year, and it was a very unfortunate year. I'm actually from New York. I'm not from Florida. I will never claim to be from Florida.
Oh, that's right. You are from New York. I did actually know that.
Mm-hmm. What kind of a wife are you? You don't even know where I'm from. I don't even know you.
Oh my gosh, I found the about Tina Marie. A pretty teenage girl with low self-esteem.
So every female.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tina follows the man to his van in a parking lot where she's abducted and taken away. Wikipedia is easy prey. Oh, because that's the movie about her. She didn't have Stockholm Syndrome. Why do they all say that that's the thing?
Well, I think she did what she had to do to survive.
Yeah, exactly. And it's called, God, and now I forget what it's called. Because there's like the willing participant, and then I guess it would be like the unwilling conspirator, basically, where it's like you have to do it to survive. And it's not brainwashing or anything. She literally was surviving.
Yeah.
But I bet oh God, I can't even imagine living with that for the rest of your life. Where is she now? I can't find her. Stacey, have you?
I'm looking. I can't.
She's probably a stand-up comic. We probably are doing shows with her all the time.
That would be amazing.
Most comics are pretty messed up. So.
Oh, here we go. What happened? Nothing was mentioned about her personal life, the after effects of her ordeal, or whatever she did with her life afterwards.
God, I wonder if she changed her name and stuff,
Oh, I bet. Wouldn't you? True crime people would be coming for you, because there was a movie made about this guy too.
Mm-hmm.
So have you thought about going back to men? I figure.
Yeah, I mean, obviously after seeing his picture and hearing his story, I'm like, oh, I get it. I see what women see in men now.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
I'm glad
I made them all feel so pretty. Just like, can I take your picture and then murder you? I'm like, wow, that's romance.
That's how you got me. So you were like, can I take your photo? And I was like, okay. And then you're like, here, have some chicken nuggets. And I was like, okay.
You were really easy to win over. But you were into your car.
And it's a Bronco. Be careful.
And you're driving a Bronco. I mean, at least you were driving a Subaru. That would have been more confusing.
Yeah, no, it's... Who else told me? It might have been Megan. She's our guest for next episode. She was like, you do drive, buy cars. And because my last car was a Mini Cooper, which I didn't realize was... Or were you telling me that, Kim? Was that you?
No, I don't.
Yeah, it was a Mini Cooper. And apparently that's a big gay car. Is that a big
I wasn't aware of that too. I just assumed Subaru.
I assume Subaru. Okay, I think people are just telling me things to try to convince me that I'm bisexual. I think all of these ladies in LA got together and were like, okay, let's campaign to recruit Veronica.
That should be very flattering for you. It means that women want to date you. See, they're like, come on, you could do it. You can do it.
I guess. But I did recently ask my friend, she's in a new relationship thing maybe, and she was talking about hooking up with this girl. I was like, did you touch it? And she was like, I can't with you. She's like, can you please figure out how to talk about this? And I was like,
did
no.
Touch it? What are you, 10? Did you touch it?
I don't know, dude. I don't know how you guys do things.
That's a whole different podcast.
What about you, Stace?
How do I do things?
Start dating men know?
Oh, I was like, man, I don't know. I've been trying to figure out how to do things for like my whole life. And sometimes I feel like I'm just throwing spaghetti at the wall. And it's slowly...
Oh, now I want spaghetti.
I'm having spaghetti tomorrow. I'm going over to my parents' house for dinner. They're making spaghetti. Like basic white people spaghetti, though, too. So I'm really stoked about it.
Oh, you're going to have such heartburn. It's going to be so good.
I know. And probably going to poop. But here we are. I'm very
That's when you know it's good.
That's what I thought you meant when you were like, he's holding that coffee cup and his face looks like he has business to do. I was like, does Shemar have to poop in this photo? Like, what?
It does. He does. Kind of have a face on.
He's got like the worry lines going. He's like,
It's like
do they know I just farted?
Yeah, how close am I to a bathroom right now?
I know. It's like when someone with IBS starts to really panic. They're like trying to keep it really cool, but they're like, I gotta
They're scoping out the clearest path to get to a bathroom.
Yeah.
Dude, that's honestly me on my morning walks with my dog. Because I do it before I go to the bathroom, but I take in like a greens shake. I take the greens, obviously, but fiber pills and pre-workout. So if we're going more than 45 minutes, I'm like, Bartok, we gotta get back. Pre-workout is a strong stimulant, so...
Good to know. Maybe I should do that next time I come down to your house.
Normalize girls pooping. Just kidding, we don't poop.
That's true.
At all.
Ever.
Well, okay, so Kim, talk to us about you, what you do, who you are, what you have coming up.
Well, by day I work in tech, but at night, I do my stand-up comedies.
Your stand-up comedies?
I do my stand-up comedies. I tell some jokes. Coming up, I have a show that we're trying to get to run monthly at Genghis Cohen, but it's inconsistent right now. So it may or may not be there monthly. Who knows? You can find me at Instagram, find out. It's frustrating.
Why is it inconsistent? Can I help? How can I can get people to do a lot of things. So
I'm sure you could. Well, they
terrifying. She says that she drinks her Diet Coke.
It's really just booking people. Like they change people that are booking the room, and then when they change, you have to go talk to another person that's booking and make friends with them. And
good Lord.
It's competitive, because there's a show on every corner.
Yeah.
So it's hard to get a room. Other than that, I also have a web series pilot proof of concept that's out on, you can see it on the YouTube. It's been in the Festival Network for a couple of years now, called Paranoyance. So that's
cool.
Out. Trying to get funding for that, but Hollywood. Hollywood.
Well, I love it. Okay, well, so what's your handle? How can people find you?
Oh, well, my handle on the Instagram is at Kim Lupe, Lupe, and on TikTok it's at Kim Lupe Comedy.
Great.
Yeah, that's where I am.
Great. Well, I love that. Thanks so much for coming on. It was so much fun
Thanks
to
for
have
having
you.
Me.
Hopefully it wasn't very aggressive.
Stacey, that did not feel authentic.
It did. I realized that as I said it, but I had to finish it, so I had to commit, and I was like, damn, they're going to think I'm not being nice. But she was generally stoked. I've heard so much about you.
No, this is totally fun. I'm glad I got to meet you finally. I feel like I should have interrupted you talking more, Veronica. But
I wish someone would have. I just kept going.
I wasn't sure.
Really
I'm like,
story.
I know. That's why I was like, I felt like I was listening to a podcast. I'm like, this is riveting. Oh, I'm on this show. I think I should.
Yeah, sometimes that's how it goes. Like with Sam's, God, we talk so much shit about Sam. We love her so much, but she had
we do love her.
Fred and Rosemary West, and it's not even one that you can like make fun of him. Like we can make fun of this guy for being ugly and all this, you know what I mean? But like this was one that was like it hurt our soul to keep talking about it, and so I would kind of pause, and Sam would be like, "I don't want to talk about it."
Yeah.
Okay.
Take a deep breath.
We'll still keep going. Yeah, I'm like sighing a bunch as I keep going. I was like, and then we have this first. She was like, I was promised a good time. I was like, oh, I'm so sorry.
It's about murder. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you talking about a good time?
It was
one thing I wish we had actually touched on real quick, though, is like we never really called out how in the episode of Criminal Minds he kind of took on the unusual suspects actor. Like he tried to do like a Kevin Spacey moment.
Yeah,
where he was limping. So I was like, they kind of bit off that movie.
He like looked at himself in the mirror while he like just kind of stood weird and like crookeded up some glass.
Me, I'm like, that's just how I look, but he had to make himself look that way.
If I tilt my glasses too much, I like can't see. I think it's
Yeah,
because my
me
glasses
either.
are so big. Yeah, because like you're supposed to see out of the center. They like measure where your eyes are. I was like, that's psychotic.
Mm-hmm.
Oh God, Stacey, what are you doing now with your glasses?
I was checking my glasses. I was like, I was literally doing the same thing where I was like, yeah, totally. I'm like looking over the top of them. And I was like,
But
oh yeah, no, you're supposed to
you
look
like-
through glasses.
If you like pull them out and like tip one up so it's like tilted like that,
Wow, I'm
you
gonna throw up.
you like can't see because the
You can't see anything. There's like 12 of you guys.
it's really wild.
Like, make your
I
own
don't like that.
kaleidoscope.
So the way that he was doing it, I was like, no.
Yeah, how was he
Yeah.
able to walk? We have to assume they weren't real glasses.
Yeah, they were fake glasses, but
Sorry, I think of logistics like this. I'm like, oh, but how could he see?
I know, same.
I'm so worried about him. How can he see what he's doing?
Sad. Okay, well, like, subscribe, download, reach out if you like us, don't if you don't, and tell your friends about us. I don't know. And join us next week for another episode of Criminal Gines.
Woo!
Woo!